Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy Mac. And before we get started, just wanted to let you know that ain't shit going on with the Cleveland Cavaliers. You ain't about to learn anything. And last, but certainly not least, everything you hear is purely speculative and is just a rumor. You got it? Still here? Awesome. Alrighty, rumor number one. The Cleveland Cavaliers are serious contenders to sign Yabusele. According to numerous sources, including Cleveland.com's Chris Fedor, the Cavs are, quote, serious contenders to sign him, whose impressive play for France during the Paris Olympics renewed interest in a potential return to the NBA. Yabusele himself has expressed interest in the return, stating, "Been waiting for a second chance. I'm ready," on Twitter the other day. And for those of you who may not know the history here with this player, Yabusele first broke into the NBA with the Celtics after Boston selected him 16th overall during the 2016 NBA draft. However, he did not immediately play for them. After spending the 2016 Summer League with Boston, Yabusele would take his talents to the CBA, where he suited up for the Shanghai Sharks. While there, he would put up averages of 20.9 points and 9.4 rebounds, and being named a CBA All-Star in the process. Now, his first real opportunity on American soil came with the Celtics G League affiliate, the Maine Red Claws, in March of 2017. 4 months later, in July, he got the call from the big leagues and signed with the Celtics, where he would remain for until the end of the 2018-19 season. He holds NBA averages of 2.3 points and 1.4 rebounds to go along with a field goal percentage of just 44.2%, including 32.3% from three-point range. And while things didn't exactly go as planned, the man, affectionately nicknamed the Dancing Bear, would get continued opportunities elsewhere in hopes of making it back. For the 2019-20 season, he suited up for the Nanjing Monkey Kings of the CBA, averaging 17.9 points and 7.2 rebounds. Then came the Asvel of the French LNB Pro A, then Real Madrid, where he has remained since 2021. Things kind of looked dead in the water in terms of an NBA return, but then came the Paris Olympics, in which he balled out, showcasing his talents to the entire world. Yabusele would go on to average 14 points, 3.3 rebounds to go along with a field goal percentage of 51.9% in those Olympics. He would also give one of the best highlights of the entire Paris Games, the entire Olympics, and that's saying something in a basketball tournament that includes Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, among many other names on their way to gold. But his poster jam over the one and only LeBron James, just highlight of the summer for me. He made a name for himself, suffice it to say. The time to come back appears to be now. It is time for him to strike when the proverbial iron is hot. And if that next chance just so happens to be with the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'd be happy for him. He apparently has an opt-out clause in his current contract with Real Madrid for $2.5 million. And Keith Smith, a very reputable source, stated that whatever the team puts towards the buyout becomes a part of the cap hit for him, the max being $850,000. And I'm sure he'd use it if the fit made sense. And what better team to work with than the team that just so happens to employ a coach who played a big part in his return to relevancy in France, and that of Kenny Atkinson. I'm just saying, the Cavs really need a big man, and that is valid in so many ways, but you can do worse than this type of out-of-the-box signing. And I know that Yabusele is not a center, but the good thing about him is that he can defend multiple positions. He can play two at the very least, at the 3 and the 4, and maybe even some small ball 5. He has intriguing size and would probably come pretty cheap compared to the other options. Number 2 is the two-way guys. Like right now, as of now, the Cavs have nobody signed to any of their 3 two-way contracts. Now, this seems pretty straightforward for the most part. The logical conclusion is that Emoni Bates, who spent last season on a two-way and was used very sparingly, might I add, at the pro level, seems like a near lock to return on another two-way. Although he showed off a new physique, having put on upwards of 26 pounds, according to him, it's clear that he remains a very flawed player and needs some more seasoning. So why not bring him back? Two-way number 2 would seem to be reserved for the likes of Luke Travers, who recently split with Melbourne United in an effort to realize his NBA dreams completely. Chris Fedor reported that Travers and the Cavs are working together to find a deal that works for both parties. To me, that's just a fancy way of saying two-way player. Like Bates, Travers is still a flawed player at this point in his development. He may be more pro ready in other areas than Emoni, but the biggest thing keeping him from being an NBA caliber wing right now, like we're talking right now, because the Cavaliers, they definitely still need size in that position. They still need depth, is his lack of a consistent 3-point shot. It's been very up and down over the years in the NBL, and his performances across multiple summer leagues, because this is his third, this was his third summer league, not his third appearance, but literally his third summer league that he has come over for. It hasn't been much more encouraging from that aspect in terms of 3-point shot. The good news though is that he has showcased enough in those other areas to give him a chance. 2A number 3 is where things could get rather interesting. Your guess is as good as mine here. DJ Burns is still around, but Pete Nance seems the most likely to get it though. Personally, I need to see more from Pete to feel good about his prospects of making it as an everyday or at least NBA caliber big man. I just do not see it with him. The 3-point shot is real, but I just don't get the sense that his skill level in other areas, whether it be on the defensive end as a rim protector or on the glass, offensive or defensive, I just don't think it'll end up translating to meaningful minutes at the NBA level. I'm pulling for him, but of course, I'm just not sold yet on him from what I've seen. Time will tell. Now, next up, we have the Isaac Okoro situation. Isaac Okoro's future in Cleveland is just up in the air right now, but I think he's likely to return to Cleveland for the beginning of the 2024-25 season. He is the only standard restricted free agent still left unsigned. No other team can offer Okoro more than the $12.8 million mid-level exception and not go over the first apron tax. A sign and trade is still possible, but I'm starting to feel like that option is less and less likely, if I'm being honest. Now, personally, I get the rationale for moving on from Okoro, but I also get wanting to see if a coaching change can help spark a new phase of development for him. It's not as if he hasn't improved since being drafted. He just hasn't improved enough in one of the most important areas, that being his perimeter shot. Yes, he has gone from 29% to 39.1% over the course of 4 years, but it's come on low volume and it's been ineffective when it matters most, the playoffs. Teams do not view him as a sharpshooter or even a competent shooter for that matter. They constantly sag off of him. You just have to watch the film. Of the 757 career attempts he has taken, Okoro has only been considered tightly defended for 9 of them. That's an astoundingly low amount, and that is according to NBA.com, so take that number with a grain of salt. Suffice it to say that he is not respected in that regard. Where he is respected, however, is his work as a perimeter defender. He has rated particularly high as an isolation defender. He has garnered an A+ in that category for the last 4 seasons. That's every season he's been in the NBA, according to B-Ball Index. That, though, is not enough to justify paying him what he may view he is worth. And the rumor is right now that he has been made, and I quote, a fair offer by the Cavs, a multi-year offer that's based on the current construction of the team and his protected role within it. It's rumored to be within the $8 to $10 million range. I don't think he takes that, I just don't think he takes that type of deal, but it is what it is. I think he's going to opt to probably bet on himself and sign his $11.8 million qualifying offer. And if that happens, it's very likely, in my opinion, that he just won't return past I think he's going to jump ship the first opportunity that he gets. I would not only hate to see that happen, but I would hate to lose the asset for nothing, which is why the option of a sign and trade has always made a good deal of sense. All of that being said, I remain a fan of Okoro and am optimistically awaiting his decision along with the Cavs. At this point, I'm just like, man, piss or get off the pot. Like, just make the shit go away. Sign the qualifying offer. Bet on yourself. Just get it over with, because you're probably not going to get the money that you and your team are hoping for. Like $8 to $10 million range, multi-year offer. At least that gives you a little bit of security. But I also understand maybe feeling like you deserve more than that. The problem is that in 2 straight playoffs, he's kind of stunk it up, right, on the offensive end. He's put in work on the defensive end, having to play up a position this past season in the playoffs against the Magic, whether it be defending Paolo Banchero or trying to defend the likes of Jason Tatum and others against Boston. It's just not a good position to be in from a negotiating standpoint for Okoro. So at this point, man, just sign the qualifying offer and get it over with. Number 4 is the NBA Cup announcement. This isn't necessarily a rumor, but the Cavs, the schedule for their Emirates NBA Cup has been released. On November 15th, they will be suiting up against the Bulls. The next competition is on November the 19th at the Celtics. Then on the 29th of November, they have the Hawks. And then on December 3rd, they play the Wizards. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you can chalk this up to the Cavs advancing in that round, right? The Boston Celtics of that group are the only team that worries me. They're the only team that scares me in that regard. I think that they have enough to overcome the Bulls, the Hawks, and the Wizards. If they don't, something might be wrong. That is basically it right now. There's literally nothing going on right now. There was a rumor floating around that Fro cut his hair, and I was for a second I was gonna have to call Bob Schmidt of Fear the Fro Pod and check on him, because I know that would have been devastating for that to have come out and be true, but apparently it's been confirmed to be false. I don't know if they're just playing around with Fro, but yeah, I don't think anybody is ready to see Jarrett Allen with a new hairstyle. I know basically every year he kind of trims the Fro down, but for him, because the rumor was that he shaved his head, right? And we have still a few months before the start of the season, but in the event that actually happened, there would have been time for his hair to grow back. But it would have been a huge adjustment seeing him going from, like, he's had an afro since the day he stepped into the league. So it would have just been different to see him without it. But honestly, yeah, that's it right now. There ain't shit going on with this team. It's been a pretty, outside of re-signing a couple of members of the core, whether that be Donovan, Evan, or Jarrett, and then obviously drafting Jalen Tyson, there just hasn't been much this offseason. The Cavaliers haven't done much outside of those things, and then hiring Kenny Atkinson. So I look forward to more news. Hopefully we fill out the rest of the roster with a backup center, a true backup center, or bring in Yabusele, or there's a couple of options that they could explore. If you're the Cavs and you feel like, hey, we absolutely have to get a center heading into the season, I completely understand that. That is a valid concern. And so if they end up doing that and don't sign Yabusele, I'd be okay. I'm not going to be hurt. Or if they do sign Yabusele and say, you know what, we're going to head into the season without a backup center and bank on Dean Wade and, whoever else, and then just kind of stagger the minutes of Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley with the reserves, I'm not sure how I would feel. I guess I would feel confident at the start, but long term, they're going to have to address that position, whether that be at the trade deadline or early on in the season or on the buyout market even. There's a couple of different options that they have, but they absolutely have to address that position. But as I always tell you guys, if you'd like to reach out to me, you know how you can. It's Cavalier_pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and more. If you want to be added to the It's Cavalier Discord chat, you know what to do. Leave a rating, leave a review, send me a screenshot of said review to itscavalier53@gmail.com. Do me a favor, if you're watching over on YouTube, hit that like. Subscribe if this is your first time viewing. You never know how much you help a brother out by helping me cook this algorithm, getting my video out there, getting my content out there. That said, go Cavs. Have a good day.